Hello, kia ora. I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Thursday update, recorded on the 29th of May. And we've got plenty of thunderstorms and downpours on the way before a windy southwest change comes in for the long weekend. Here is the latest lightning imagery, courtesy of Weather Zone, from the last 6 hours before we recorded this. So plenty of thunderstorms out in the Tasman Sea. But if you look as it sort of all moves in towards land, it changes shape. Some of those sort of thunderstorms disappear off the map, just in this area here, but more of them are lining up. So this changes as it moves on in. So what you see out at sea doesn't just necessarily move straight over land. New thunderstorms can form, and some of these current ones can disappear. But either way, you see what is moving on in as we go through the next 12 hours or so as we go into the later part of Thursday. And then overnight, most of those thunderstorms clear out to the east. This is it with the satellite imagery as well. You can see the sun rising here. Plenty of thunderstorms with these sort of blobs of cloud, not the big main front that we saw yesterday. That's where all the warm air is. This is where the colder air is now mixing in, and that's why you're getting these explosive downpours that may affect the top of the South Island as well. There is a different set of weather to the south there, a lot of high cloud in the mix, and a cooler change is on the way as all of this moves eastwards. So here is the situation this evening. You can see the low is kind of split in half, and so that does reduce some of the severity in some areas. Windiest weather coming in at the top of the country here, where we might see some gale force gusts, especially in marine areas. And to the south of New Zealand, another low off the east coast here, encouraging the southerly flow that is moving in all the way from Australia across the Tasman and into the New Zealand area. So thunderstorm risks, this is from noon today to 6 o'clock tonight. You can find these maps on the Weather Watch website and app. So the colour shading you're seeing here puts it into the moderate to high category. So that is coming all through tonight, and the blue shaded areas has some risk, but it's further down the bottom of the scale. Could still be a big thunderstorm though, even if it is a low risk, but they're just not likely to be as widespread. As we go through tonight and into 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, Friday, the risk for thunderstorms eases back, sort of moderate to low, and pretty much gets to low by the end of the day. But there's a little burst of southerly weather coming to the south. That might also produce a few heavy falls and maybe a thunderstorm, kind of low risk. So here is the expected rainfall, including the long weekend. This is brought to you by resupply.co.nz. Heaviest falls in the North Island are around Eastern Bay of Plenty, but we are also seeing right along the western coastline here some higher totals, 40, maybe 50 millimetres. And remember, one of those downpours, just one of them, can break this weather map. So thunderstorms are tricky to lock in because they do bubble up and then disappear again, and that can alter the rainfall. But this is the general expectation, and so for some of you in the blue here around the North Island in particular, but maybe the upper South Island, might see higher rainfall totals. So keep an eye on that rain radar today. The other area of heavy rain where it should be down around Fiordland, but that comes into Southland and parts of Otago as well, also looking like 30 to 40 millimetres coming through. So let's get into the forecast. Here we are this evening, 6 o'clock, and we've got this large low, 986 hectopascals. It might even be a little bit lower than that. So that just basically means that there's instability in the atmosphere. That's why we've got that risk of thunderstorms and downpours all around the top part of the North Island and maybe around Cook Strait and the upper South Island. Further down the South Island, there is that southerly flick that's coming through, a couple of showers, and your temperatures start to drop. Big southerlies across the Tasman ahead of another big high pressure zone. Takes a while to get to New Zealand though. So here we are tomorrow morning. Any remaining thunderstorms clear quite early by the looks of it. Most of the energy should be out to the east of the country, but southerlies moving through or southwesterlies moving through, and they'll become a little windy around places like Auckland and some parts of the north of New Zealand. It's also going to be a bit windy around the South Island, especially through the mountains. We've got a southerly change here, the blue line, the darker blue line. That is a sign of a bigger bite out of the atmosphere from south of New Zealand. So temperatures will drop, and there will even be a bit of snow on the mountains and ranges on Friday as that moves northwards, getting up to sort of mid-Canterbury by the afternoon, and it sort of goes further up New Zealand. It gets windier across Friday. See the isobars, more of those lines on the map? That's windier weather coming through, pushing all the way up to the top of New Zealand from the bottom of New Zealand. So let's zoom out to Saturday and look at the big picture, and you can see exactly why we've got that windy southwesterly. A huge area of low pressure southeast of New Zealand, down around the Southern Ocean, stretching from Antarctica all the way up very close to Tonga. So that is an enormous area of low pressure. Behind it, there's also a very large area of high pressure. So we're in the squash zone, the windy southwesterlies showers. So we're not under low pressure or high pressure, but Saturday's windy. There'll be gale force winds in some exposed areas. Keep an eye on those Met Service warnings and watches. As we go to Sunday, still the same kind of setup. The low moves further away from New Zealand. Chatham Islands still caught up in it. It'll be colder and windy there. But this high from Australia is now drifting in, and the airflow is starting to warm up a little bit into the lower South Island. Showers mostly on the western side. Eastern areas of both main islands look mainly dry for the long weekend. And as we go into King's Birthday Monday, we are still seeing westerlies coming through, maybe a bit more southwest at the top of the North Island and maybe through the Southern Alps a wee bit. Showers carry on with rain in the southern half of the west coast, showers further up. Some of those could still be a little bit heavy as they move on through. And again, eastern areas are mostly dry and probably warmer as well than the west coast as we go into Monday. So let's look at the couple of days going into next week, and we've got high pressure, a whole lot of it to the north and northeast of the country. That means subtropical air coming back down into New Zealand, so warming back up above normal as we go into the start of next week, at least by Tuesday anyway, and a new low forming in the Tasman. By Wednesday, that new low, this is not locked in just yet, but this is the modelling at the moment, shows another large low coming in from the Tasman Sea. Once more, subtropical winds, an area of rain and windy nor'westers, possibly some thunderstorms again next week. And, obviously that low is going to bring more potential for severe weather warnings. So there's a lot going on at the moment. Classic autumn setup when you see lows and highs like that. But we're technically in winter as we go into next week on the meteorological calendar, but the autumn weather pattern can usually go on for even longer, especially around the New Zealand area where we can get subtropical winds into the mix. Okay, that is all from me. Don't forget to keep up with the Met Service warnings and watches. Most of the maps we've showed you can find in our free app and on our website. And also please use alert.info, great service, putting together all of the different warnings that come out with weather and other things, police and all that kind of stuff. You can sign up for that, alert.info. They're just supporting us, we support them. That's all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow Friday with our next update, plus also we'll have an early edition of Climate Watch for the month of June. We'll see you then.